deal.
Yeah, no misdirection here. No misdirection needed, all right? I called for this Friday.
Yes, true.
They went out and got it done. Good job, Ravens. You tired of seeing me in a hospital bed? You're tired of seeing me on crutches?
Yep.
You're tired of seeing me in a neck brace? So you go out and get Mad Max Wilds. Danny, there is only one thing left to say. The box!
Yes, the box! It's back.
The box,
The box.
baby. We're months away, but I am in the mood. Oh, my goodness. Where's the weakness?
Oh,
Well, do you want me to answer that?
that's a good question.
It ain't at quarterback.
No.
It's not at running back. The receivers are good. I hate losing Isaiah Likely. Good
Okay.
job, Giants.
Yep.
All right? But I'll deal with Mark Andrews. The defense, Danny, improved over the second half of last season. Defensive backfield looks, we know it's good, even though they tick me off sometimes, but it's good and gonna get better with the pass rush. Because that's something, as you said, Wiles, they didn't have last year. Jesse Minter, job well done. He's a defensive-minded coach. It's on.
It's on.
It is so
Gonna be
on.
sandwich making.
I would love a sandwich, but I did not love the trade.
What?
Really?
I did.
Oh, they gave up 2 first-round picks. I'll give you this. They're one of the few teams in the league that I think should have done that because they all about win now. They're win now, period.
Well, clearly, I mean, they were.
They have to be, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they've
Looking
been.
at but their personnel
Well, sure,
before Crosby, we got to win now.
Yeah, how about it?
How many years have they been S-Bob?
Oh,
This is probably
since Lamar became a superstar.
since Lamar became a superstar. So they're S-Bob again. So that is obviously familiar territory. I always respect a team taking a big swing. But the 14th pick, they didn't have the 29th pick because this was not a normal year. And we can roll our eyes or shrug our shoulders at that, but there is a significant difference between a mid-first-round pick and a late-first-round pick. And we can just look at the history of trading multiple first-round picks for non-quarterbacks. Those are the guys in the last decade who it's happened for. Obviously, jury's still out on Sauce Gardner and Micah Parsons, but early returns are not great. But you'll notice they're all 25, 26, or 27 years old. Maxx Crosby will be 29 years old. He's coming off the meniscus surgery, entering next year. And this is how it's gone for those teams.
You're like, but that's the Jalen Ramsey Rams.
Well, yeah. So,
Yeah,
so
they
listen,
won
That
the
was
Super
kind
Bowl,
of
right?
that's pretty sweet.
Well, no, I'm going to do it right
it
here.
is.
So,
Okay.
so Jalen Ramsey, that one obviously worked. But they also are the team that is probably the most antithesis of the Ravens because they are F them picks. They've used 1 first-round pick in the last 8 years. Whereas the Ravens, Brou, they build through the draft. They are an excellent drafting team. Laramie Tunsil, he won a few playoff games, but he's now not on the team that made that trade for him.
It's almost poetic that Danny fills the void left by Nick, because the two of them share an almost identical lens through which they view the game. And that perspective, it's just so easy to dismantle. Honestly, it's effortless. The graphic they put together is absolutely perfect for this discussion. It practically dissects itself. So let's break it down, nice and simple. Start with the Indianapolis Colts. Who was their quarterback during that era? Daniel Jones, and then he got hurt. Next, the Green Bay Packers. Did they not get absolutely decimated by injuries? Their defense was legitimate, but there were still lingering questions about that offense and Jordan Love's development. Meanwhile, Micah Parsons was feasting, working swimmingly, to use the corniest possible term, against that Packers line. Undeniably. Then you have the 2020 Seattle Seahawks. What exactly was that franchise doing at that point? Obviously, we know they had just won a Super Bowl, but that was a different era. That window had closed. The Los Angeles Rams are the first real hiccup in this lineup, an actual fully functional franchise with a great coach, a great quarterback, all the pieces. And what did they do? Oh, that's right. They won a Super Bowl. Got it. The Houston Texans? Since 2019, their story has been a mess. They couldn't figure out the quarterback position. They couldn't stabilize the offense. They went through multiple coaches in that time frame. They weren't a functional franchise until they landed C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans. Before that, hardly a model of stability. Same story with Khalil Mack and the Chicago Bears. Who was the coach? Who was the quarterback? What was the defense doing? It was chaos. And now we arrive at the Baltimore Ravens. Say what you want about them, but they have been an incredibly stable franchise. They are a perennial top team in the NFL, year after year after year. And they have Lamar Jackson as their quarterback. That changes everything. That is fundamentally different from having Daniel Jones for a game or two, or a collection of replacement-level arms, or Phillip Rivers for a minute and a half. These comparisons are just silly. They don't hold up under scrutiny. When you look at these other teams, the pattern is obvious. The coach was getting fired, the quarterback was a bust or past his prime, the organization was in flux. All very specific situations. The one exception, the one conducive situation to actually winning a Super Bowl, was the Los Angeles Rams. And they check the same boxes the Ravens do now. This was absolutely a swing, and I agree. That first-round pick was valuable, no doubt about it. It might have been even more valuable in a quarterback-heavy draft where teams are desperate to move up. In this draft class, that pick might be slightly devalued, but I'm not going to get too lost in the abstract value of swapping the 14th pick for the 25th or moving up to 8th. There are so many dominoes in this draft that could disrupt everything. It's hard to predict value when you don't know what the teams ahead of you will do. One bad mistake by another franchise, and suddenly that 14th pick becomes a golden ticket. The draft is one of those things where hindsight is always 20/20. You have to wait and see. But here's the thing. Since I believe there is a genuine, limited window for Lamar Jackson to win a Super Bowl, you have to go all in. And I always want to emphasize this, because not everyone watches every video. I believe the same is true for Patrick Mahomes, for Josh Allen, for all these elite quarterbacks. I think we all got too excited by the idea that these guys can play until they're 50. We're seeing glimpses of that with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, but Lamar, Josh, and Patrick are just not those quarterbacks. They don't play that style. And let's not pretend Aaron Rodgers is out there looking like a young Patrick Mahomes. He's not. So the safest prediction, the most logical bet, is that these next 3 years will be the peak of Lamar's prime. If he plays another 10 years, and I hope he does, it's safe to say that his individual contribution, his level of greatness, will likely decline. The chance to win a Super Bowl is probably within these next 3 years. It's hard to imagine Lamar Jackson being the same Lamar Jackson at 37 or 38. Now, that doesn't mean he won't be great. It doesn't mean he won't evolve and adapt. But we have to see that first. The version of Lamar we know, the bona fide MVP who can do it all, who can escape from anyone, including Maxx Crosby. That version probably has a 2 to 3 year window, maybe 4 max. Beyond that, we're in new territory. It's not a shock that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes all got injured recently. 2 out of 3 needed surgery. That's not surprising at this point. The wear and tear on these quarterbacks is exponentially higher than it was for someone like Tom Brady. So those picks, the 14th pick, the first rounder, they matter, but they also don't. If you can replace that with a 29-year-old, ready-to-rock, proven superstar like Maxx Crosby, it makes sense. But when you make moves like this, it puts pressure on the team to win right now. That's the trade-off. If you don't win, then in the blink of an eye, you look up and Crosby is 32 and slowing down, Lamar is 31, and they're no longer the players you need them to be. They're no longer worth what you gave up, not just in salary, but in draft capital. You start playing the hindsight game. We could have had someone in 2028 or 2029 who would be producing more than Crosby is now. And we didn't even win in 2026. The only thing that shuts that up, the only thing that makes it all worthwhile, is winning. That's obvious. I've been thinking about this a lot. I do believe that with Jesse Minter on defense, the Ravens are positioning themselves to maximize Crosby immediately. This defense is going to be legit. But is the team as a whole maximized to win a Super Bowl immediately? That's the real question. Not whether Crosby will be great, he will be. Not whether Minter will make the defense elite, I believe he will. But can the Baltimore Ravens be an elite, top-tier team right now? Because there's no time to ease into this. If Crosby were 26, like Micah Parsons, this would be a different conversation. You'd be betting on 5 or 6 more years of prime production. But Crosby has a shorter timeline, and you have a quarterback whose aging curve is uncertain. I'm not putting Lamar in a box and saying his best years are done. I'm saying we're all figuring out in real time how these quarterbacks are going to age. We're entering uncomfortable territory with these physically gifted athletes who are asked to do so much more than any quarterbacks in NFL history. We're on new ground. That's why the safest bet is to go all in. Do everything you can to win right now. Who cares what 3 years from now looks like? Because 3 years from now, I don't know where we stand. I can't confidently say that Lamar, Mahomes, and Allen will still be the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL in 2030. I just don't know. So do everything you can right now. And this is where you start looking at the other teams. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs and say, they're kind of rebuilding. They're behind. They have to draft and develop young players. You look at Josh Allen and the Bills and say, we still think our guy is better. You look at the Broncos and say, they're still figuring it out. The Colts? Daniel Jones. Great. We have Lamar Jackson. The Patriots? Drake May is cute. We have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You're betting that when it matters most, when true greatness is required, you have an all-time great under center. And they don't. So you add the bodies. You add the proven pieces like Maxx Crosby instead of hoping a young player develops into someone like him one day. It makes sense logically. But there is fragility. There will always be fragility when you put all your eggs in one basket. The Green Bay Packers found out that when injuries hit, you're in trouble. If you don't win that year, you lose your great defensive coordinator, and the cycle begins. The Rams experienced a similar fall. They fell off a cliff after their Super Bowl. They were lucky to have a great quarterback and coach, so it was worth it. But they struggled. They've been competitive, but now they're back to pushing chips in, trading picks, going all in again. They lost to the Lions, the Eagles, the Seahawks. Since their Super Bowl, they've missed the playoffs once and lost in back-to-back divisional rounds. Some would say that's pretty good. But so did the Ravens. So did the Bills. So did the Cowboys. What it all comes down to is this. When you make a big move like this, can you win the Super Bowl within the time frame that move pays off? And then, when you're dealing with the repercussions, can you afford to come up a little short and then make another move to get back in contention? That's exactly what the Rams did. It was okay for them to lose to the Lions and Eagles because they had already won it all. Now, that grace period is over. They've been able to refortify through the draft and push their chips in again. Lather, rinse, repeat. So it'll be interesting to watch. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you think about the Baltimore Ravens and this trade? What does a graphic like this really mean to you? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. Whether you agree with me or disagree, let's get some discussions going. Let's have some debates. But ultimately, let's just have fun with it. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love having you as part of it. I want to create something we all feel connected to, something we're genuinely excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.